Richard Gere has been a Hollywood icon for decades, captivating viewers with his stunning good looks and impressive acting chops. On the other hand, his 74-year-old supporters were taken aback by his latest confession. Reportedly, Gere acknowledged that a certain lady was his soulmate. First, let's take a look at Richard Gere's background and personal relationships before we get into this moving revelation. The second of 5 children, Richard Gere came into this world in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on August 31, 1949. His Mayflower ancestors were Homer George Gere and Doris Anna Tiffany, his parents. While attending school, he performed instruments and composed music for musicals, which led to a career in music. But after high school, he decided to choose a different path. At UMass Amherst, Gere was a gymnastics scholar and a philosophy student, but his acting ambitions ultimately won out. His breakthrough part in the 1973 London version of Grease came after he had spent 2 years in college performing. Acting in other plays, such as The Taming of the Shrew, boosted his career. Report to the Commissioner was Gere's first feature film. As a Navy officer candidate, he seemed more at home on set of An Officer and a Gentleman than in 1977's Looking for Mr. Goodbar or the following year's Days of Heaven. The film American Gigolo came out before the picture's release. Acting in films like Runaway Bride, Primal Fear, and Pretty Woman catapulted him to stardom, and he went on to win accolades like the Golden Globe for his performance in 2002's Chicago. Gere received accolades during his career in the film business that demonstrated his importance to the field. Some of his nominations include the Primetime Emmy and Golden Globes. He was also named by People magazine as one of the world's 50 most handsome men. Because of this, he has been on the covers of several magazines. His voyage, however, was not without obstacles. Still, Gere had his share of setbacks, despite the early success of Looking for Mr. Goodbar, 1977. An incident involving a disagreement with co-star Sylvester Stallone in the late 1970s led to his replacement in The Lords of Flatbush, an episode from that year. He brought to life the character of a homosexual Holocaust survivor in the film Bent, during a time when acceptance of the LGBTQ+ community was much more limited. Taking on such an unusual role was a bold step, and it may lead to criticism or harsh comments. If people didn't like it or thought it was provocative, it may have ended his career. His performance in Bent demonstrated, however, his versatility and willingness to push himself to new limits. His commitment to presenting varied information and giving complicated individuals depth was reaffirmed. Both American Gigolo, 1980, and An Officer and a Gentleman, 1982, had their share of problems. Choosing parts that resonated with viewers while still being a financial success was no easy feat. Throughout his career, he had the significant challenge of balancing the demands of financial success with those of creative satisfaction. On top of dealing with these outside forces, Richard Gere also had to face his own psychological demons. His personal life and thriving business were both impacted by the popularity surrounding his extramarital romances and several partnerships. He dated American actress Penelope Milford for 7 years, beginning in 1971 and ending in 1978. From the early to the late 1970s, they were a couple. Not only did Gere have other brief romances at that period, but this one was only one of the chapters. His relationship with Brazilian artist Sylvia Martins, which lasted from the late 1970s until the mid-1980s, is another example. In 1978, Gere encountered Tibetan monks and lamas on his travels to Nepal, which were inspired by his friendship with Martins. This life-altering event solidified his devotion to Buddhism, and he eventually became a devout follower of the Gelug school of Tibetan Buddhism and an ardent advocate for the Dalai Lama. But Gere's love life wasn't over yet. In 1980, after his split with Sylvia, he dated Tuesday Weld, an American actress. Retired actress Weld, born Susan Kerr Weld, was well known for her work in both cinema and television. That was the last year of their romance. Carol Mallory was Richard Gere's friend and a former model and actress from the 70s. Beginning in 1970 and lasting until 1975, they were romantically involved. Another significant stage in Gere's personal life was this period with Mallory. Famous model and actress Mallory spoke about her relationship with Gere in her book Picasso's Ghost. In it, she praised Gere as a legendary and unforgettable lover and attested to his adaptability, sensitivity, and generosity. This portrayal enhances Gere's reputation as an alluring sex symbol who continues to wow his lovers. From 1975 until 1978, Gere was romantically connected with Dawn Steele, continuing his lively dating life. Steele would go on to become a major player in the film business as a prosperous Hollywood executive, thus, this time was important. Steele was still establishing herself as a film industry professional when they were dating. While just starting out in her career, she and her first husband established a company and dabbled in other forms of entrepreneurship. As Steele's romantic association with Gere was coming to an end, her professional participation with the film business was taking off, and this relationship acted as an informal introduction to Hollywood for her. After accepting a position as director of marketing at Paramount Pictures in 1978, Steele's career in Hollywood took off. She became the first woman to head a major U.S. film company, Columbia Pictures, after landing this part, which catapulted her on the silver screen and into well-known films. In the mid to late 1970s, Gere was actively pursuing his acting career and creative pursuits, and his brief relationship with Steele, 1975-1978, was a significant element of that period. Considering Steele's eventual importance, it also showcases Gere's contacts throughout the film business. Despite this, Gere kept up her busy dating life. Although their alleged 1983 meeting was short, Priscilla Presley is another name associated with him. Mike Edwards, Priscilla's ex-boyfriend, claims in his tell-all memoirs that Presley admitted to having an affair with Gere. Priscilla allegedly told Edwards this during a conversation, saying, "Oh, he's a wonderful man." I then asked, "Did you ever sleep with him?" And she confirmed, "Yes, we did." I then asked, "How many times?" And she said, "Just once." I asked, "What happened?" And she explained, "We met at a party and we just clicked. We had a great time and ended up in bed together." This story supports Gere's flirtatious lifestyle, and the fact that their relationship was classified reveals how private Gere could be when involved in a committed relationship. As Richard Gere's infamous romance with supermodel Cindy Crawford began to get public prominence in the 1990s, his amorous pursuits persisted throughout that decade. He first laid eyes on Cindy in 1988 at a BBQ hosted by photographer Herb Ritts. Although Gere was already well known at the time because to hits like Pretty Woman, the 22-year-old Crawford was still on the rise as a fashion sensation, gracing the pages of Vogue and spearheading ads for influential companies like Revlon, Pepsi, and Calvin Klein. A spark was kindled despite the age gap and cultural differences between them. Quickly becoming romantically involved, they secretly moved in together in New York City. They went to India and Nepal together since they were both interested in meditation and Buddhism. Crawford went so far as to say that Gere's age, experience, and influence made her want to leave the high-fashion elite and take charge of her own career. Eloping in Las Vegas in December 1991, Gere and Crawford's relationship was as impromptu as their wedding. A short and uncomplicated ceremony took place in the Little Church of the West. The unorthodox ceremony and Gere's suggestion of Vegas that night were both remembered by Crawford. To match the spontaneous vibe of the occasion, she wore a navy blue Armani suit and accessorized with a tinfoil ring. Their marriage was a watershed point in their lives, despite the unorthodox start. Nevertheless, there were obstacles in their happily ever after marriage. After 4 years of marriage, they decided to end it in 1995 due to their busy schedules, divergent lives, and of course, differing priorities. Gere and Crawford were one of the most famous couples of the 90s, and their continued fame after their split is evidence of the glitz and success they had together. But Gere's love life goes far beyond this. He resorted to Carrie Lowell as his lover after his breakup with Cindy Crawford. Unfortunately, a brutal divorce ended their more than decade-long romance. Following Gere's 1995 divorce with Cindy Crawford, he wed Carrie in 2002, 7 years after the two had met in the 1990s. The lone son of the Gere family, Homer James Jigme, was born in the year 2000, however. However, their divergent goals and experiences shaped the connection. Lowell wanted a more public connection between Gere and him, but Gere was more of an introvert. Their 11-year marriage ended in September 2013 when Gere and Lowell decided to separate. Disputes over Gere's reported $45 million fortune and the couple's assets prompted protracted and contentious court proceedings for a divorce. They swiftly decided to co-parent their son Homer, despite their differences. Legally, the divorce procedures were finalized in 2016, precisely 3 years subsequent to the separation. Secretive settlement conditions followed many court appearances by the couple as they attempted to settle their divorce-related financial disputes. Lowell kept acting even after the divorce, appearing in a number of films and TV shows. When Richard Gere met the Spanish campaigner Alejandra Silva in 2014, who would later become his wife, his luck took a turn for the better. Gere rented a yacht from Silva's father for a project more than 10 years ago, and that's when their bond started. But it wasn't until 2014 in a 5-star Italian hotel run by Silva's family that their lives would really intersect. Alejandra Silva, a mother and campaigner with a blonde hairdo who was born in Galicia, talked publicly about their relationship with Hola magazine in 2016. "Richard has been my hero in real life," stated the woman. Their relationship blossomed quickly despite their 33-year age difference, beginning shortly after their first encounter and remaining discreet for several years. "I was a little lost, without light, and meeting him gave sense to my life. I felt like someone was stretching out his hand and showing me the true path." So said Gere, whose life had been somewhat disoriented. Alejandra attended Lewiston School in Dorset and comes from a family with ties to Real Madrid. Her father was a vice president of the club, and there were rumors that she had an affair with Roberto Carlos, a famous left-back for Real Madrid. But a fresh feeling surfaced when she met Gere during her divorce from her first husband, Govind Friedland, the son of American mining tycoon Robert Friedland, and their paths crossed. Their friendship developed over time, and in June 2015, they came clean about their connection. They discreetly tied the knot in April 2018 after deciding to keep their romance under wraps. 3 months after their wedding, Silva shared on Instagram, "While we are going through this path and suffering the various ups and downs of life, we aspire to transform them into the path of love, compassion, joy, and equanimity." Richard found a lifelong companion who shared his values and a love that was profound. Richard is deeply committed to the battle against homelessness in Spain, and Silva works for a non-profit that shares this goal. He is overjoyed to be married to Alejandra, whom he describes as beautiful, smart, sensitive, committed to helping people, fun, patient, forgiving, a great cook, and the maker of the best salads in the world. Alejandra, according to Silva, is living her dream because of their marriage. She sings Richard's praises, calling him the most humble, sensitive, affectionate, attentive, funny, generous man that I've ever met. The two seem to have a strong bond. Richard composes new songs for her every day, and is always making sure she knows how much she means to him. From the time he proposed with a daily bouquet of flowers until she accepted his proposal, he maintained the practice of daily serenades even after they were married. Years after they had lost touch, Richard Gere and Alejandra Silva reunited after their respective divorces. They became close despite the large age gap between them. Silva acknowledged the difficulties, stating, "Love stories with a complicated beginning, where you have to overcome difficulties together, can bring you closer. I'm sure I did have some doubts at some point in the beginning. He was more convinced than me, but from very early on we felt that we were destined to be together." This statement further confirms their profound love for one another. While Hola and Silva were already close in age, Silva went on to say, "I'm not ignoring our age difference and what it means to be with a Hollywood star, but when there's such a strong karmic energy, the problems disappear." Their mutual passion for helping others only served to strengthen their relationship. While Silva battles homelessness in Spain with her Rise Foundation, Gere promotes Tibetan culture and works to end the HIV/AIDS epidemic. I think their bond is strengthened by the fact that they share these ideals. Silva said she could relate to the homeless because she had slept on the streets, and she was not afraid to get her hands dirty. In a 2015 interview with Hola, she went on to say that she always gives her all to everything she undertakes. She prefers not to do it if she is unable to. They had a son, Alexander, in 2019, their first child as a couple. It was a momentous occasion since they were both parents from prior marriages. They were overjoyed to announce the birth of their second child the following year, in 2020. Despite the difficulties of being in a relationship with a famous Hollywood actor or actress, Silva has acknowledged the strong karmic energy that assists them in overcoming these obstacles. They now make their home on a ranch in upstate New York, where they treasure quiet time together. By meeting his soulmate Alejandra Silva at a senior age, Richard Gere demonstrated that love may come knocking at any moment. He was able to reveal his kind and loving side. Gere has shown that love can bloom at any age with the right person by finding a genuine connection with Silva, despite her 3 marriages. Silva shared a touching family photo with her Instagram followers and friends as a way to send seasonal greetings over one Christmas season. As the caption said, "Merry Christmas from our family to yours," she posted a photo of herself and her husband standing on a pier with their 2 boys, gazing out over a small lagoon. The lad sported coordinating blue Crocs with shorts and tees, while Silva sported a golden maxi dress with grace. Gere opted to dress casually like his children. Silva also shares a peek of their family taking a leisurely stroll through the picturesque fall scenery at another point. Gere and Silva lifted their hands in the air, creating enormous shadows on the pavement that Alexander couldn't help but be amazed by. He even extended his arms in a similar manner, observing his own shadow on the pavement. With the comment, "Daddy, Mommy, and Alexander," Silva tagged the photo. A few weeks later, Silva was there for a momentous occasion for her family, her husband's formal citizenship ceremony. The 2 of them posed for a photo under an American flag. The constant encouragement that Gere and Silva provide one another is a lovely part of their relationship. They are always there for each other, whether it's at events, like their unusual public appearance at the 2024 City Harvest Gala on April 10th at Cipriani 42nd Street in New York City, or online, sharing memories or supporting each other through tough times. They have a strong relationship based on mutual admiration and respect, which is evident in the public shows of love and encouragement they share. The bond between Gere and Silva is heavily influenced by their families. Having 2 young kids of their own and another son from Silva's previous marriage, they prioritize their family and provide a caring and supportive environment for them, given to their offspring. Their dedication as parents, the creation of cherished memories, and the importance of family unity are all manifestations of the ideals they hold dear. Although Gere and Silva have an admiring and respectful relationship, they often express their love and appreciation for one another in interviews and social media postings, praising one another for their qualities. A deep emotional connection and genuine regard for one another's qualities and talents are shown by their public expressions of love and admiration. Throughout their time together, Gere and Silva grow and change as a couple, weathering storms and celebrating victories side by side. Personal development, shared goals, and a strengthening lifelong bond define this journey as a partnership. Their unwavering commitment to supporting one another's growth and joy exemplifies the profound love and friendship they share. Last but not least, their partnership is a beautiful tapestry stitched together by a deep emotional bond, mutual regard, and shared principles. Their commitment to one another, their families, and their shared journey exemplifies the sweetest aspects of their love-filled, supportive, and joyful relationship, which serves as an example to all those around them. The touching tale of Gere and Alejandra Silva's love is our wish for you. How do you feel about Gere and Alejandra's relationship? Do not hesitate to share your opinions here. Coming back to you soon.